All right, Tulsi-crats, Bernie-crats, free radicals of all shapes, sizes, colors, denominations, orientations. Aloha from sunny Florida. It's me, Harmless Dave here, the radical independent, just telling it like it is. And you're not going to like this video. I'm sorry, but I think people have to come to grips with reality. One of the reasons... And this has nothing to do, by the way, with Tulsi Gabbard. She's the best candidate running, okay? So if you love Tulsi and you're here for encouragement, this is your Tulsi devotional for the day. Like, I'm supposed to say Tulsi Gabbard is the most wonderful, and she is. She's the most wonderful candidate, and she is not an embarrassing candidate. She's a smart... I could go through all of her attributes. I think I did 15 reasons the other day. But folks... we're living in an alternate reality if we're not taking into account what's really happening right now. And what's happening is Joe Biden has increased his lead over the rest of the field in national polls. And I'll tell you what, national polls mean super delegates come home. National polls mean that if some states are kind of like going the opposite direction, and they keep reading these national polls, they go, I'm going to go back the winner. That's what I want to do. Because Biden, he's winning nationally, so let's just throw in with Biden. I know it's crazy. See, the Democratic Party is not going to be hijacked this election cycle by, Bernie Sanders or progressives. It's not going to be hijacked. There's a certain amount of delusion that we all have when we get into our zone. Like, I'm in the Tulsi bubble, and I see all the good stuff that Tulsi's talking about, and I'm not paying attention to Joe Biden or Mayor Pete or Kamala Harris or Beto O'Rourke or any of these candidates. I might watch a video by Andrew Yang now and then. Certainly I'll pay attention to Bernie Sanders. This is an interesting poll, because it comes out right at the time where Bernie comes back. He gets the endorsement of AOC. So it's curious. This kind of is designed, I think, to deflect. Because unfortunately, the Bernie people and the Biden people do share some support. If you did ranked choice voting, a lot of people would pick Biden first, Bernie second, or Bernie first, Biden second. Hopefully they would pick Bernie first and Tulsi second. Right? But we're living in a very strange political universe. CNN. Now, before you get on me for CNN, this poll was conducted by SSRS. I looked at the metrics of the poll. Other than the fact that they don't give you demographic breakdowns, they just say 18 and over. A much wider share of cell phone polls, which, this is what you want. Maybe more landlines than what normal polls would garner. In any event, Biden has 34% support. And that's his highest number since April. 34% across the country, with a dozen plus candidates still in this race. Biden at 34. He's got 1/3 of all votes. I don't know how you wrestle this away from Joe Biden. He's running the same kind of campaign that Hillary ran. Joe, don't talk a lot. Stick to the script. Be firm. Tell him how much experience you have, how long you've been in public service for. Talk about the nostalgia of the Obama-Biden era. So, that's his best showing, by the way, since April 25th. Warren and Bernie are essentially tied with 19 and 16 respectively. Of course, they have to mention Mayor Pete, Kamala Harris, and Amy Klobuchar. Okay, so other than Sanders, none of these people are progressive. Forgot about Beto. And by the way, Tulsi's got to be right at 3%. They're not going to include... they'll go so far out of their way not to include Tulsi Gabbard in a poll, even if she's right there. We've seen it where they've actually skipped her name on a list. They just didn't include it. It's breathtaking. They do this with Bernie Sanders, too. They did something in Florida here where they said which candidate would beat Trump, and they didn't even put Bernie in there, and Bernie is clearly a top-tier candidate. They did not include his pounding or his beating of Trump, which I'm sure would be by a large margin if it were Bernie Sanders against Donald Trump here in Florida. You don't know, though. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I think people are, you could just say people are ignorant. And some people would say I'm ignorant because, my goal in life is not to see Donald Trump as president anymore. And your goal in life supposedly is all these issues like Medicare for all. Some people who already have a ton of money, they don't care about Medicare for all. I mean, this isn't a charitable society we live in anymore. I mean, it can be if people, if there's a real good cause or a natural disaster. So why is this happening? Well, it's a consolidation of support among his core backers. People who had left Biden and were trying out, going on dates with Elizabeth Warren, Mayor Pete, and so forth. And, they kicked the tires around a little bit, and then they came back to the Biden-mobile. Warren and Sanders hold about even with their standing. So basically what they're saying in this poll is that Biden is getting all that support that was looking around at these other candidates. It's coming home. No other candidate has seen a shift of more than 2 points in that time. Biden has seen big spikes in support among moderate and conservative Democrats. So, let me ask a question. Do progressive ideas scare people? Do they? And is that why they're coming back home to Biden? They don't want Medicare for all. They don't want these things that are clearly popular in every poll. Does this show that the CNN poll is bogus and contradicts what people actually believe in? Moderate and conservative Democrats. So they also talk about racial and ethnic minorities. And other than Bernie Sanders, there really are no other candidates in the Democratic Party that are going to attract ethnic minorities. You would think Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, but their campaigns are they're dead in the water. And they're not going anywhere. Joe Biden has a monopoly on the non-white voter. His support went from 28 to 42%. Almost 1 out of 2 now, with all of these other candidates in the race. So if you were a Biden supporter today, and you woke up and you were seeing this, and granted, I don't see any enthusiasm or excitement with regards to Joe Biden, but his type of voter isn't an activist. His type of voter wakes up in the morning and wants to see Donald Trump gone. It's a football game. Trump cheated. It's like Tom Brady. He had a juiced ball. He got lucky because of the Electoral College. He snuck the pass in there at the last minute. Used all these little gimmicks and ran all over the field. That would be campaigning, by the way, for you Hillary Clinton supporters. Trump did campaigning, and he used the Electoral College. In other words, he campaigned in states where he could pick up electoral votes and win. So, whether you like the Electoral College or not, Trump actually read the rules of the game and played those rules, at least in the sense of the political game, and ended up winning because the other team was not very well prepared. And didn't stand for anything on top of that. Anyway, here, it talks about older voters up 13 points. Now, the older voter gets beat up a lot on progressive shows. Older voters. I would be maybe considered an older voter now. I don't know. But I've noticed that there's been a little bit of ageism. The youth and the energy and the excitement is with Bernie Sanders. And there's older people too at Bernie rallies. But the point is, older people vote. And they vote a lot. And they decide elections. Because here's the thing, they've seen a lot. They believe that maybe democracy still works. I don't know. This is what they've always done. Whereas younger people, what are they doing? I don't know. I don't want to stereotype all young people as sort of zoned out and, got their headphones on, not paying attention. I mean, 18 and older, a lot of these people have, certainly they have a stake in their future, right? So you think they would go out and vote, but they don't. And it's just been a thing forever. The gains come as Biden's time as vice president is put under the spotlight by President Trump and his allies. All right, so let me talk about the impeachment inquiry, yada yada, Biden's son. Isn't that weird? So Biden might be getting a sympathy bounce here. When you accuse somebody of something and you fervently deny it on national TV, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. It means a great deal, though, if you actually deny it fervently and then nobody asks you a follow-up question. The polls suggest that although Biden's October debate performance did not blow away the audience, 15% who watched or followed news about it said he had done the best job in the debate, well, behind Warren's 28. So they're saying, that one establishment person won, that would be Warren, and then Biden got 15, but then better than most on the stage. So better than, obviously, Tulsi Gabbard, better than Bernie Sanders. I thought Bernie Sanders had a great debate. The arguments he made on health care, foreign policy, and the economy may have boosted his standing with potential Democratic voters or the electorate. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm going to need some medication here. Anyone got a Xanax? So they liked his stances on healthcare, meaning don't change or go back to Obamacare. Maybe even put in the unconstitutional mandate that people pay a tax for something that they probably aren't going to use, right? Or if they opt out. I just think Medicare for all would be so much simpler. Just raise taxes on all of these rich fat cats and give people some health care. Although Joe got up there and he said this can never work because it'll cost so many trillions. Just what we can't do, it's just more of what we can't do. So they liked his stances on healthcare, foreign policy, and the economy. Okay, I don't have much to say about this. Well, he holds a massive edge over the field on foreign policy. Joe Biden, 56% say he would handle it best, well ahead of Sanders at 13 and Warren at 11, and tops. Okay, so this sounds like CNN propaganda. So they're telling me that Biden is best on foreign policy, according to this poll. Wow. Sanders, okay, so 56% like Joe on foreign policy. I'm just trying to read through this again. Well ahead of Sanders at 13, Warren at 11, and tops the next closest candidate by nearly 20 points on the economy. Biden at 38, Sanders at 19, Warren at 16. Biden also outpaces the rest of the field as most trusted on immigration and gun policy. Incredible. Biden doesn't hold a significant edge on the critical issue of health care. Biden 31, Sanders 28. But he surged 13 points on the issue since June, when he lagged behind Sanders. So all the Medicare for all detractors, all of those worms on Twitter have burrowed their way into the conversation and have left their residue behind. Neither Sanders nor Warren's numbers on the issue have moved significantly in that time. And now, Biden runs even with Sanders at 26% as best able to handle the climate crisis. How is this even possible? Warren at 18 on that issue. The results mark increases for Biden and Sanders, who were each at 19% on handling the climate in June. The former vice president's advantages on the issues come as he emphasizes an approach that appears to align with the preferences of most potential Democratic voters. A 53% majority say they want the nominee to advocate policies that have a good chance of becoming law. Even if the changes aren't as big versus the 42% who prefer advocating. Okay, so this is telling me that nobody in the country really cares about policy. Because none of what Biden is advocating for, none of it is going to move the needle anywhere. So they want incremental changes. They want little changes. Kind of what they're saying is we don't really mind Trump's policies all that much, but we just want to get rid of him. And Biden is the guy to get rid of him. So what we've feared all along is it's in progress. It's happening. Joe Biden could be the Democratic nominee, and then what, folks? Then what? And this channel continues to be radical. You know, I can't apparently support Howie Hawkins for president because he's a Russiagator, and he doesn't really have a clue as to what's happening in his own party and around the country. He doesn't take the pulse of all the Bernie and Tulsi supporters. You have to talk economic issues and bring those issues home to where everybody can kind of relate to them and not just the select latte drinking, Prius driving, Green Party elitists. So that's sad because there's a huge opening there. There's a huge opening if you're a working class candidate and you want to talk the economy, climate change, related to how, you know, there's all this wealth inequality and wage stagnation. You could do that. But apparently, folks, I think we could be on look, and people say, oh, it's early, it's early. It's really not as early anymore. We're almost in November, folks. Then you got, what, Christmas break. People zone out during Christmas break. You come back from Christmas break, and you're right there getting very close to primary season. Biden might not win Iowa. I mean, Iowa is a quirky state. But there's a really good chance he's going to start winning and winning big after that. Like New Hampshire. I don't think anyone beats him in South Carolina. I don't know how anyone can. Here in Florida, I think he's gonna rock and roll here in Florida. Unless something drastically changes. The only change that could rock the entire process is if Hillary decides to jump in, which she hasn't said no about. So in any event, if you're a Tulsi fan, a Bernie fan, if you're a fan of Andrew Yang, anybody with an alternative message to what the establishment is peddling your way, folks, the entire political machine, all right, needs to be shut down and overhauled. And I've been saying this for months now. What I'm not seeing is a lot of enthusiasm to do that. People are just so focused on Donald Trump, like he's played everybody on planet Earth since he became the president. Their main concern is not policy. Their main concern is getting rid of Trump. And guess what? Things aren't going to change in America if you're just changing the captain, but you're keeping pretty much the entire ship the same. You make little cosmetic changes here or there. That boat just keeps going in the same direction with all us little people hanging on to life preservers, barely hanging on, and we have nowhere to go. I mean, you can't will a third party to just spontaneously get popular and find this incredible candidate who can bring a message, somebody who's intellectual and forceful and understands social media and sticks to big ticket items, bread and butter issues. Nope. That just doesn't happen overnight. So we got a long road ahead of us, people. And I wish I had better news to report, but this is some pretty bad news. So there you have it. You can look at the poll. Maybe you have like a Jordan Sheridan or somebody break the poll down. He does a great job. He's better than I am on this stuff. But I am not looking at this with a smile on my face today. I am thinking the establishment is winning. They're winning. This is their guy. This is Mr. I'm okay with the CIA and all the stuff they do. The surveillance state, Patriot Act, all those things. All those endless wars that we were fighting, that we'll continue to fight them without any interruptions. Trump, if anybody, is the only guy who's kind of tried to interrupt that a little bit. I mean, has he been successful? Not really. But the reason he's in so much trouble with the media right now is because of what he did in Syria. And obviously we shouldn't have been in Syria to begin with, and his solution isn't a great solution, but his statements on it are almost very Ron Paul-like. You know, we've been there forever. We don't have a mission. Tired of seeing blood spilled on the sand. Let's bring the boys home. And girls. Women and men. All right. Joe Biden, there he is. The Gaff Master 3000, or the Gaff Master 2020. There he is. See you soon.